Hello, my friends, and welcome back. Thank you very much for being with me again today. As you probably know, and if you don't know, I will let you know, today is this guy's birthday, the 7th of October 2023. He is, I think, 71 years old. This video is not to celebrate him, the video is to try to answer a question. And I will ask the questions and I will try to answer it. Now, how is it possible that this guy, the president of the Russian Federation, Vladimir Putin, is so loved by some and so hated by others? How is it possible? And curiously enough, this guy is loved by his people that he supposedly oppresses. The free people are told that. So the people who hate the most, this guy right here, are from the free world. But the people who supposedly he oppresses, 80% or more, have a positive attitude towards this despot. How is it possible? Well, first I'm going to look at it from how do you get the information regarding someone, in this case Putin, and the other one we can compare and see achievements or lack of achievements using data, using objective numbers, and comparing it with before Putin and during Putin and present Putin. So let's see. We have this group here in the free world mostly, because people from Bangladesh or I don't know, Saudi Arabia or Zimbabwe, they don't have a negative usually opinion on Putin. Most likely they don't really care. The negative opinion on Putin comes from some Western countries. So you think, where do these guys get the information? And we know the information that trickles down to them is given by the same people, the mass media, that gets the information from Russia and then gives it to these guys. We know that the same thing happens to Trump. There are some people who love Trump and some people who hate Trump. And we got this information. I mean, how do we know what Trump does or did? The mass media tells us, right? People tell us. Therefore, we form our opinion based on what other people's first-hand experience have with him, or reporting objectively, we hope, which, is not the case. So we have these guys in the West that are told that Putin is a criminal, Putin is a tyrant, Putin is a dictator, Putin kills his opposition, incarcerates, tries to assassinate people all over the world. He is a despot. Bon. But then we got the Russians. The Russians that supposedly are under Putin's thumb, they have at least 80% approval for this guy. For this guy right here. That guy. How is that possible? Well, let's look at it. Russia, politically. Russia has a democratic system in theory, right? Because these guys tell us it's just in theory. Okay, the Russians did not, overthrow the government or anything like that, like in Ukraine. These guys tell us it's just in theory. So they organize elections, and we are told, oh, the elections were skewed. Well, you deny their elections, but you don't deny your elections? How is that? So again, the people who tell you that, they tell you, but the Russians are either dumb or their system of propaganda is so good. They're so good at one thing that fools them all. Because remember, Russia is not good at anything. Socially sucks, culturally is awkward, right? That's what we're told here. Their military is rusty and rowdy. Economically, they suck. The ruble is bottom down there. What else? Politically, they're corrupt, and so they can't reach the moon. But somehow they still send rockets into space. So they don't do anything good. But they're good at very much propagandizing their own people. Now, you've been around the block a few times, I hope, and you realize that life is gray most of the time. That is, it has some black and some white. Depends on the proportion. It's darker gray or lighter gray. You rarely have, or almost never, you have a white or black in character in human beings. But somehow this guy Putin is all dark as Adolf, but he's never gonna get to Adolf's level because he didn't touch certain kind of buttons yet. And I'm not talking about nuclear weapons. All right, you know what I mean, I hope. So how is it possible that the Russians are so full? So let's see. They have a democratic system. They still have a parliament, 2 chambers. They have all the institutions we have, a constitution court, justice system, lawyers, attorneys, judges. They have the same system. But we're told that doesn't work because they tell us this. Putin kills his guys. Well, where's the hard evidence? Again, who blew up the Kakhovka dam in Ukraine? The Russians. Where's the evidence? The evidence is the Ukrainians said so. He incarcerates his opposition. Who? Navalny? Do you know what he did? Do you know what Navalny did? How he broke the law and then he violated his parole. Do you remember what it is? All right. So that would happen the same for you if you would do it in your country. Violating your parole and doing some financial hanky-panky like Al Capone. All right. That would get you in prison, or should get you anyway. They're not even good at taking care of people in London, supposedly trying to assassinate them with Novichok and other kind of garbage. So they're not good at anything. But somehow, let's compare it economically. I made a video about a year ago, maybe a little bit more than a year ago, where I was talking about, with data, with graphs, with numbers, the GDP and the economic power of Russia under Yeltsin. So this is what, 1993 to 1999 December, and December 1999 to last year 2022. And Russia's economy is like this. So he has done something good, right? That's the first thing. Militarily, Russia developed hypersonic missiles. United States, not so fast. Russia still sends rockets in space. Russia still builds vessels, warships, submarines, restructured their military. They still bombarded, if you remember, from the Caspian Sea, I think, they destroyed targets in Syria through satellites. So they must be doing something good. Remember, Russia's fighting Al Capone and his club in Ukraine, not the Ukraine. Ukraine was done in a week and a half, was done. All right? So still, that tells me that militarily are doing better than Yeltsin's time, who peed his pants to send his military to save the Serbs for whatever they were being bombarded by illegal bombardment of NATO, the good countries. They were weak. Now they're stronger. All right. So economically, they're doing better. Militarily, they're doing better. Socially, they're doing better. Remember that the oligarchs were in the government, Russian government, until I think even 2 or 3 years after Putin took office, because he couldn't just get rid of them. Once he got rid of them, they all flew like little birds, scared birds, where? To London, to the United States of America, and Israel, wherever they had the passports, and to their paymasters, I guess. So, are there oligarchs over there? Yes, there are. We call them here, I don't know, something else. But anyway, are there? Yes, they are. Are in Ukraine? Yes, they are. We support Ukraine? Yes, we support Ukraine. So, have you seen videos or pictures from Moscow lately? Well, if you didn't, I urge you to see them. To see how you see Moscow. But you can say, well, wait a second. That's the capital. Well, the same thing I can say about any country on this planet. It has good neighborhoods and has bad neighborhoods, including this fantastic country of the United States of America. So I don't understand from direct experience, if you want to look for it, you find evidence, tangible evidence, that this guy, the bad guy, is loved by his people that supposedly he's a tyrant, he's loved 80-some% versus Biden, who's like, what's his approval rating right now, in the 30s? How is that possible? Only if you say that these guys, the Russians, somehow they have opposition parties, they have opposition media, they have private media. Unless you say that the Russians are so good at fooling their population, their dumb population, because they almost say that, that they're good at that. Well, my friends, and our media is the good one. Our media who never lied, correct? All right. So, again, how is this possible to have such a polarized view on this guy? It's like people who live with him versus people who are told how is to live with him. Now, who should have a little bit more understanding of the issue? You knowing your father, or the neighbor knowing your father and telling his children how your father is? Wouldn't you know how your father is, or your brother, better than how the neighbor's kids know from their father? So their fathers tell their kids how your father is. No, he knows better than you know because you're a dumbass or something. But that applies only this way. Because if you try to use the same logic towards their house, they don't accept that. They don't accept, for instance, if the Russians talk about Biden, or someone else talks about Biden and the garbage here. No, we know. You don't tell us how we yeah, but you tell everybody else. So again, I remember when I had a little run-in with a person who I knew more about her American history than she knew, and she got upset with that, and she told me that it's impossible for me, a foreigner, to know her country's history better than she does. And I said, well, how do you know your country's history? You read books. How many books you read? She didn't want to talk to me at that point. Well, thank you very much then. So you see, sometimes you're able to know more from outside, so the Americans could be able to know more from outside about the Russian society. The problem is the guys who are supposedly knowing more, they are not trustworthy. The media, no, they're not. They have interests, and the interest is not aligned with us, the citizens. Unfortunately, we're just, as many people make these similarities, this matrix. They just suck our energy, our work, our taxes. That's all they do. So they can have their life. And they keep us thinking that we have power by voting, by getting involved, and so on. And we have power. The problem is we don't know we have it, because they don't allow us to understand how much power we really have. Because if we would understand how much power we really have, we would not put up with this garbage. But we don't. And they always keep us fighting with us. Oh, you're tall, you're short, you're fat, you're thin, you're black, you're white, you're heterosexual, you're homosexual, you're this, you're that, you hate one another, so we can count the money above you guys and control you. Divide and impera, right? Divide and conquer. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Very strange, right? That this guy right here is loved and hated in the same time to so much power, intensity. But who knows how he is? His children or the neighbor's children told by their father. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth, and be just.